Who knew that we were waiting for Kawhi Leonard to plot out the Grand Slam home run that we normally ascribe to people like LeBron James when he's trying to get a new team and a new super team? We're always ascribing to other superstars in the game, Durant, Kyrie, teaming up. Who knew Boardman was the chairman of the Boardman? I didn't. Nobody did. Yeah. And that's the amazing part about what happened over the weekend with Kawhi Leonard and his big free agency finish. He was plotting. He was out there plotting. We all thought he was just thinking. We all thought he was ruminating. We all thought he and Uncle Dennis were just walking around trying to find that light switch where he was going to go next. But instead, he was cobbling together a Grand Slam home run that nobody thought Kawhi Leonard had in him, except for Kawhi Leonard and Uncle Dennis. The only two people, I think, on the planet who really knew what the hell was going on. And I guess Paul George and his agent. How about that? How about Kawhi Leonard was keeping everybody waiting because he was trying to get his own super team together. He wasn't thinking about, do I join LeBron and Anthony Davis and the Lakers? He might have been thinking that. Do I stay put in Toronto and just run it back? No, the whole idea about staying in Toronto wasn't running it back. It was reconfiguring the roster to get Paul George up there. And I guess, as we all found out through all the reporting over the weekend, some excellent reporting from ESPN, Woj with the initial bomb, and then Ramona Shelburne with a great behind-the-scenes glimpse of what was going on in the conversations between Kawhi and the Clippers, Lakers, and Raptors. And obviously, the Oklahoma City Thunder were brought into this. The minute that Kawhi picked up the phone, we assume it has to be Kawhi because that's the only way you thread the tampering needle here. Calling up Paul George and saying, hey, Paul, you know, how you been?
You think Kawhi does small talk?
I don't know.
Okay.
Nobody knows. He certainly does big talk. I know that.
He makes moves, man.
Hey, Paul, look, you know, I'm from outside of Los Angeles, you know, east of Los Angeles. You're from north of Los Angeles. I'm from Riverside County. You're from up there in Palmdale. We both had to go to these schools in California. You went to Fresno and I went to San Diego State. Not really basketball hotbeds. We weren't really that heavily recruited by the Blue Bloods, so we had to stay put here in our home state and make a name for ourselves collegiately before we got drafted and then made big names for ourselves. I know we're kind of in that same boat. You want to demand a trade, get out of Oklahoma City and join me somewhere, most likely back in our hometown for the Clippers, because clearly the Lakers can't have us both. Oh, yeah, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Let me just call my agent and get back to you. Click. Where the hell did that come from? What a major shakeup, big time finish to the Kawhi Leonard, will he stay or won't he stay, season-long storyline, the season-long arc in the NBA campaign that started with him being acquired by the Raptors. And remarkably, the conversation throughout the season as to why it was a smart gamble by the Raptors, why it was a gamble that could pay off for the Raptors, one that they should have done despite the fact that nobody thought Kawhi would want to stay in Toronto, kid from Southern California. Nobody ever put Kawhi and Toronto in the same sentence with the exception of Kawhi's coming into Toronto with the Spurs. That's the only sentence that we had ever heard in which Kawhi and Toronto was in the same sentence before they sent DeMar DeRozan in San Antonio's direction for Kawhi. And the reason why everybody's talked about why it was such a smart gamble is because, well, look at Paul George. Nobody put Oklahoma City and Paul George in the same sentence, but they went ahead and they gambled and they rolled the dice. And, hey, guess what? Paul George just re-signed in Oklahoma City. So maybe Toronto can do what Oklahoma City has done, which is get Kawhi into town, let him see the organization and city and fan base firsthand, fall in love with it, and stay. And Paul George did that in Oklahoma City, and he didn't even win a championship. He didn't even get to a finals. He stayed. So this is the idea that Toronto should go and follow. Smash cut to this weekend. And Paul George leaves Oklahoma City to join Kawhi in Los Angeles. And Kawhi won a championship in Toronto. Who saw that coming? I didn't. I mean, Paul George was the model of what Toronto needed to follow. He re-signed in Oklahoma City, and he calls up Oklahoma City and says, you know what, that whole long-term contract, you know, that whole proclamation by the Oklahoma City mayor to make it Paul George Day when I re-signed, guess what? On the one-year anniversary, I want to be in Los Angeles, and that's what happened. The one-year anniversary of being Paul George Day, because he stayed in Oklahoma City, was the day that it all came out. Nuts. And that's, you want to talk about a total unforeseen development of free agency, the dismantling of the Oklahoma City Thunder, because right now apparently Russell Westbrook is on the trade block. Didn't
Yeah, they just traded Jeremy Grant to the Nuggets
for another first-round pick.
Yeah.
So the dismantling of the Oklahoma City Thunder wasn't on anybody's radar screen when free agency opened up or throughout the entire playing season about what would happen when July 1st hit. But that's what's happening right now. And in the same vein, folks, of the Nets reconfiguring decades of being underfoot of the world-famous basketball franchise that's also in the same town, and reversing that script of a half century of everybody having it ingrained in their brains in their hometown that this is the B team and the other team with the championships and the trophy case is the A team. And why I told the Knicks, you never let that team off the mat in the Nets, and they let the Nets off the mat. They have Kyrie, they have Durant. This is exactly why the Lakers were trying to do what they were trying to do with Kawhi, because you never let the other team in town that the whole town thinks is the B team. You never let them off the mat. Lakers tried their best. Man, did they try their best. They tried their best to clear that space for Kawhi Leonard. I'm sure they rolled out whatever red carpet that Magic and LeBron could do. When it all came down to it, Kawhi sat there. Why do I need to join somebody else's super team? I'm going to make my own in my own hometown, and I'm going to try and go to the spot in my hometown and replicate what I just did for Toronto, which is put a franchise on the map, have an entire fan base, although the Clipper fan base goes way further back than the Toronto fan base in terms of waiting for a sea change moment. But Kawhi decided, I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm going to go get Paul George to come too. And the Clippers, to their credit, did it the right way.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download The Rich Eisen Show app.